All right, continuing the Rag and Bone Shop of the Heart. A reading of this beautiful book of poetry. I just can't get enough of these poems, nor do I want to. Now, this is going to be from Rainier Maria Rilke. I always have trouble with his name. But just as the winged energy of delight. Just as the winged energy of delight carried you over many chasms early on, now raise the daringly imagined arch, holding up the astounding bridges. Miracle doesn't lie only in the amazing, living through and defeat of danger. Miracles become miracles in the clear achievement that is earned. To work with things is not hubris. When building the association beyond words, denser and denser the pattern becomes. Being carried along is not enough. Take your well-disciplined strengths and stretch them between two opposing poles, because inside human beings is where God learns. Wow, and that is from February 1924. 1924. Wow. And this is part of the book is called Loving the Community and Work. You know, my first instinct was to always take the page turning out and edit, and the stomach growls and all those things, the stomach growls especially, I take them out when I can catch them, but every once in a while you hear like sneak through, and that's just the way, that's the nature of the beast, especially with a really sensitive mic like this one. And also, it's just, I kind of like the nature of these reads. I like the weird audio glips and whatever they're called, and I like the pages turning beneath the microphone. I really like the way that sounds. To me, it brings back a lot of memories of just reading in my chair, like I normally do. Pluck a book off the shelf, sit down, and just start reading. Of course, not allowed to an empty room, but that might be cool too. So this one is called Lamb, and it is by, let me go forward here, Michael Dennis Brown. Saw a lamb being born, saw the shepherd chase and grab a big ewe and dump her on her side. Saw him rub some stuff from a bottle on his hands, saw him bend and reach in. Heard two cries from the ewe, two sharp, quick cries like high grunts. Saw him pull out a slack white package, saw him lay it out on the ground, saw him kneel and take his teeth to the cord, saw him slap the package around, saw it not move, saw him bend and put his mouth to it and blow. Doing this calmly, half kneeling, saw him slap it around some more. Saw my mother watching this, saw Angela, saw Peter, saw Mimi with a baby in her belly, saw them standing in a row by the dry stone wall in the wind. Saw the package move, saw it was stained with red and yellow, saw the shepherd wipe red hands on to use wool, saw the other sheep in the meadow calling out, saw the package shaking its head, saw it try to stand, saw it nearly succeed, saw it have to sit and think about it a bit, saw a new creature's first moments of thinking, felt the chill blowing through me, heard the shepherd say, "Good day for lambing, wind dries them out." Saw the package start to stand, get halfway, kneeling, saw it push upward, stagger, push, and make it. Stand, standing, saw it surely was a lamb, a lamb, a lamb. Saw a lamb being born. So let me pause for a moment here and really reflect on why that only works in a poem, a beautiful moment like that. And that is, I think, such an essence within the necessity of poetry, right? Like you can read a poem and broadside, line, where the break in the line is important because in a long form, you can't do that. You can write a long poem, but I mean, to talk about a lamb being born, to be able to do that and do it so with so much heart and pathos and ethos and all those things that that you describe conveying emotion with, I think that a poem was the best way to describe this experience. Now, it goes the other way too, obviously. Anyway, this one's called The log truck drivers rise earlier than students of Zen by Gary Snyder. In the high seat before dawn dark, polished hubs gleam and the shiny diesel stack warms and flutters up the Tyler Road grade to the logging on Poorman Creek, 30 miles of dust. There is no other life. I love that. That reminds me of a poem by Bukowski called On the Fire Suicide of the Buddhists or something, when he said, talked about, he said, I have seen the red rose burning, and this means more. The way he ended that poem, it was brutally beautiful, and that's kind of what this reminded me of, only a little more, I guess, succinct, assertive, and gentle, but I expect no less in that kind of contrast. And this one is by D.H. Lawrence. Now, this part of the book is called The Second Layer, Anger, Hatred, Outrage. The English are so nice. The English are so nice, so awfully nice. They're the nicest people in the world. And what's more, they're very nice about being nice, about your being nice as well. If you're not nice, they soon make you feel it. Americans and French and Germans and so on, they're all very well, but they're not really nice, you know. They're not as nice in our sense of the word. Are they now? That's why one doesn't have to take them seriously. We must be nice to them, of course, naturally. But it doesn't really matter what you say to them. They don't really understand. You can just say anything to them. Be nice, you know, just be nice. But you must never take them seriously. They wouldn't understand. Just be nice, you know, fairly nice. Not too nice, of course. They take advantage. But nice enough, just nice enough, to let them feel they're not quite as nice as they might be. So I like what he did there. Lawrence, they have called him the master of language. So the English are very nice. Just like I would lob this back to him that in the southern U.S. they're very nice too, until you crack that fucking surface and they're a bunch of dicks. In general, not everybody. There's a broad sweeping generalization from a very bitter standpoint of a desert rat stuck in Tennessee. It's almost like a Sting song. I'm an Englishman in New York, or like I'm a desert rat in the South. But you know, I like to know. I mean, I don't know. I like the politeness. I'll take that surface politeness over someone flipping me the bird in 125,000 degree temperature because I cut them off on accident or on purpose. Fuck them. And just as if my memory or your memory, or I think all of us, I think all human beings, maybe animals too, or other mammals anyway, maybe insects, I don't know. Frogs, I don't know, but the consecution, the memory, like I mentioned, the fire of the suicide and the Buddhists earlier from Bukowski, and I just remembered that I just made a comment about getting flipped off by somebody in the desert, and it happens a lot, and no matter where you go in a city, unlike this is a town, but you don't get a lot of birds here, people flipping you off. I mean, you get people here, a lot of people eat in their cars. I just made a comment yesterday about that to somebody, and I remember when I first moved to the South, I was shocked at the niceties of the South. And one person was like, yeah, it's fake, it's surface. I'm like, I don't care. But now I kind of care now. I really do. But back to driving and the bird, I was reading a poem by Bukowski a long time ago. I was a very young man. I was reading this poem. It was so good. And he said, he talked about like getting flipped off from another car. He goes, I used to laugh at them, their fingers up in the air, their faces twisted and florid with anger. Right, so what happened was somebody cut him off and he flipped him off. And he goes, now I'm in the club and I feel like a fucking fool. I remember I read that and I started laughing. To this day, that's happened to me a few times where it's just involuntary sometimes, and I always feel like a dick if I do that. So I do my best never to. I don't do it often. In fact, I can't think of how many. I don't think I've done it in years. I think I've done it once or twice in my life, but it does. It makes you feel like a total fucking moron. Or it makes me feel that way. And with a surreptitious serenity from beyond the grave, as if it was meant to be, this one is Emily Dickinson with Mine Enemy is Growing Old. Mine enemy is growing old. I have at last revenge. The palate of the hate departs. If any would avenge, let him be quick. The viand flits. It is a fated meat. Anger as soon as fed is dead. 'Tis starving makes it fat. How do you not love that woman? How do you not love that woman? My God. Ugh. Crushing on Dickinson right now. Whenever I read one of her poems, I'm like, fuck, yes. This one is called The Ascensions, and it's by William Pillin. You, Mark Chagall, should be able to tell us what was cremated in Thor's ovens, you who were always painting ascensions. The ascensions of priestly violinists, the ascension of white-gowned brides, the ascension of purple donkeys, of lovers, of bouquets, of golden cockerels, ascensions into the clair de lune. Oh, this soaring of our shanties and cellars, the folk spirit ascending through enchanted alphabets, through magical numbers to a wandering in bluest realms. The ascension from sewers, dives, back alleys of folk songs to the moon, to the feast of lights, to the silences of Friday evening, and suddenly in the quietude of steps, a thin column of smoke ascending, and after that, no more ascensions. No more ascensions. Only stone chimneys heavily clinging to the earth of Poland. Not even a marker saying, here the Zeeds in mass ascended. Okay, and this one is called The United Fruit Company by, Pablo Neruda. Oh boy, here we go. You know it's going to be good. I don't care what he writes. I could read his shopping list. I wouldn't care. When the trumpet sounded, it was all prepared on the earth, and Jehovah parceled out the earth to Coca-Cola Incorporated, Anaconda, Ford Motors, and other entities. The Fruit Company Incorporated reserved itself for the most succulent, the central coast of my own land, the delicate waste of America. It rechristened its territories in the banana republics, and over the sleeping dead, over the restless heroes who brought about the greatness, the liberty, and the flags, it established the comic opera, abolished the independencies, presented crowns of Caesar, unsheathed envy, attracted the dictatorship of the flies. Trujillo flies, Tacho flies, Curious flies, Martinez flies, Ubico flies, damp flies of modest blood and marmalade, drunken flies who zoom over the ordinary graves, circus flies, wise flies, well-trained in tyranny. Among the bloodthirsty flies, the fruit company lands its ships, taking off the coffee and the fruit. The treasure of our submerged territories flows as though on plates into the ships. Meanwhile, Indians are falling into the sugared chasms of the harbors, wrapped for burial in the mist of the dawn. A body rolls, a thing that has no name, a fallen cipher, a cluster of dead fruit, thrown down on the dump. Well, what can I say except, holy fuck. Yeah, it says it all. This one's by Claude McKay called The White City. I will not toy with it nor bend an inch. Deep in the second chambers of my heart, my muse, my lifelong hate, and without flinch I bear it nobody as I live my part. My being would be a skeleton, a shell, if this dark passion that fills my every mood and makes my heaven and the white world's hell did not forever feed me vital blood. I see the mighty city through a mist, the strident trains that speed in goaded mass, the poles and spires and towers vapor-kissed, the fortress port through which the great ships pass, the tides, the wharves, the dens I contemplate, are sweet like wanton loves, because I hate. I like it. This one is Harlem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore, and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? I read it, so I'll keep it. This is Fire and Ice by Robert Frost. Yes. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. Robert Frost is one of the only rhyming poets I've ever been able to stomach, just because he's fucking Robert Frost. I've had a thing for him since I read The Outsiders, and since in school, we had to memorize a poem, and I memorized, "Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. His little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." That was read fully from memory, completely in the back of my mind to the forefront as I looked out of my studio window and just remembered fucking Velcro shoes and trapper keepers. But yeah, that was what a beautiful heart. The heart of Robert Frost. And this part of the book is called Earthly Love. It's chapter 11. Opens up with Rumi. A night full of talking that hurts. My worst held back secrets. Everything has to do with loving and not loving. That's probably just phrase from a poem coming up. But that is a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. I have seen the victor Dioxipos subdue all contenders at Olympia and be thrown on his back by the glance of a girl. Diogenes. Yeah, that's sounds right. This one is The Mole by Al Muntafil, I don't know. There is a mole on a mott's cheek that draws all those who are not now in love. It is like a rose garden, whose gardener is an Abyssinian. Nice. This one's called The Guest by Anna Akhmatova. Ooh, yeah. Everything's just as it was. Fine hard snow beats against the dining room windows, and I myself have not changed. Even so, a man came to call. I asked him, "What do you want?" He said, "To be with you in hell." I laughed. It seems you see plenty of trouble ahead for us both. But lifting his dry hand, he lightly touched the flowers. "Tell me how they kiss you. Tell me how you kiss." And his half-closed eyes remained on my ring. Not even the smallest muscle moved in his serenely angry face. Oh, I know it fills him with joy, this hard and passionate certainty that there is nothing he needs and nothing I can keep from him. January 1914. Oh, if I could travel back in time, I would kiss that woman right on her heart. It would be like a cross between Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve and a really bad Scorpions video. This one is called Last Gods by Galway Cannell. She sits naked on a rock, a few yards out in the water. He stands naked on the shore, also naked, picking blueberries. She calls, he turns. She opens her legs, showing him her great beauty, and smiles, a bow of lips seeming to tie together the ends of the earth. Splashing her image to pieces, he wades out and stands before her, sunk to the ankle bones in leaf mush and bottom slime, the intimacy of the visible world. He puts a berry in his shirt of mist into her mouth. She swallows it. He puts a berry in its shirt of mist into her mouth. She swallows it. He puts in another. She swallows it. Over the lake, two swallows whim, juke, jink, and when one snatches an insect, they both whirl up and exult. He is swollen not with ichor, but with blood. She takes him and sucks him more swollen. He kneels, opens a dark, vertical smile, linking heaven with the under-earth, and licks her smoothest flesh more smooth. On top of the rock they join. Somewhere a frog moans, a crow screams. The hair of their bodies startles up. They cry in the tongue of the last gods, who refused to go, chose death, and shuddered in joy and shattered in pieces, bequeathing their cries into the human mouth. Now in the lake 2 faces float, looking up at a great maternal pine whose branches open out in all directions, explaining everything. That was beautiful. And this one's called Cocks and Mares by Ruth Stone. Every man wants to be a stud. His nature drives him, hanging between his legs, the heavy weight of scrotum. He wants to bring forth God. He wants God to come out of those common eggs, but he still can't tell his cock from a rooster's. However, I'm a horse, he says, prancing up and down. What am I doing here in the hen house? Diddle-you, doodle-doo. In this fashion, he goes pretending that women are foul and that he is a stallion. You can hear him crowing when the wild mares come up out of the night fields, whistling through their nostrils, in their rhythmic pounding, and the sound of their deep breathing. I like that. And this one is called Body of a Woman by Pablo Neruda. Here we go. Body of a woman, white hills, white thighs. When you surrender, you stretch out like the world. My body, savage and peasant, undermines you and makes the sun leap in the bottom of the earth. I was lonely as a tunnel. Birds flew from me, and night invaded me with her powerful army. To survive, I forged you like a weapon, like an arrow for my bow, or a stone for my sling. But now the hour of revenge falls, and I love you, body of skin, of moss, of firm and thirsty milk, and the cups of your breasts, and your eyes full of absence, and the roses of your mound, and your voice slow and sad. Body of my woman, I will live on through your marvelousness, my thirst, my desire without end, my wavering road, dark riverbeds down which the eternal thirst is flowing, and the fatigue is flowing, and the grief without shore. Oh, my God, beautiful, beautiful. And this one is by Anne McNaughton, and it's called Balls. Well, how can we pass this up? Actually, it's the balls I look for, always. Men in the street, offices, cars, restaurants. It's the nuts, I imagine, firm, soft, and hairy sacks, the way they are. Down there rigged between the thighs, the funny way they are. One in front, a little in front of the other, slightly higher, the way they slip around in their soft sack, the way they swing when he walks, hang down when he bends over. You see them sometimes bright pink out of a pair of shorts. When he sits wide and unaware, the hair sparse and wiry, like that on a Poland china pig. You can see the skin right through, speckled, with wrinkles like a prune, but loose, slipping over those kernels, rocking the smooth, small huevos. So delicate, the cock becomes a diversion, a masthead over large, its flag distracting from beautiful pebbles beneath. Wow, well, now I'm going to be obsessed all day with a woman fondling my balls. What a beautiful poem, though. I mean, wow. I want to read more like that. I might have to look into that. That's like, that's as close as I will ever get to loving erotica. You know what I mean? But what? I love her honesty, too. When was that written? Hold on, let me see if there's a date on this one. No, there's not. Wow. This one is by Carolyn Kaiser. It's called Food of Love. Under it is a quote saying, "Eating is touch carried to the bitter end," by Samuel Butler, too. But this poem is by Karen Kaiser. Food of Love. I'm going to murder you with love. I'm going to suffocate you with embraces. I'm going to hug you bone by bone till you're dead all over. Then I will dine on your delicate marrow. You will become my personal Sahara. I'll sun myself in you, then with one swallow drain your remaining brackish well. With my female blade I'll carve my name in your most aspiring palm before I chop it down. Then I'll inhale your last oasis whole. But in the total desert you become, you'll see me stretch horizon to horizon, opulent mirage, wisteria balconies dripping cyclamen, vistas ablazed with crystal, laced in gold. So you will summon each dry grain of sand and move towards me in undulating dunes, till you arrive at sudden ultramarine, a Mediterranean to stroke your dusty shores. Obstinate verdure creeping inland, fast renews your barrens, succulents spring up everywhere, surprising life, and I will be that green. When you are fed and watered, flourishing with shoots entwining trellis, dome, and spire, till you are resurrected, field in bloom, I will devour you, my host, my final supper on the earth, and you'll begin to die again. So many lines in here I want to stop and talk about, but I'm going to let that poem in its nature end this session today. I have to get out of here, things to do. But before I go, I want to say thank you for listening. I really appreciate you being here. And I will talk to you in the next one. And, as always, take good care.